Hi, my name is Bonnie Bergin. I'm president and CEO of Paws for Purple Hearts. I invented the service dog concept in 1975. And I actually called the Disability Center in Sonoma County and talked to the receptionist, because I thought maybe the CEO there could give me some leads on who would help me get this program off the ground. And the receptionist answered the phone and wouldn't let me talk to the CEO unless I explained why I wanted to talk to him. So I gave her this spiel about what I wanted to do with dogs, helping people with disabilities, bringing more independence into their lives. And she said, "Tell me more," and I told her a little more about it. And then she said, "I'll do it. I'll work with you on it." And that's how it got started. I actually met Carrie because she was the receptionist, and she did say to me that she would work with me on it. She was a full quadriplegic. She was in a power wheelchair, and she was a powerhouse. She was amazing. And so she and I started to talk about what she would like the dog to do for her. This was the first time service dogs had ever been even thought of. So there was no other program to model after other than guide dogs, and Carrie wasn't blind. And my idea was for people who were physically disabled to have dogs that could help them in many different ways. One of the things I found out is people with disabilities had every desire to have life normalized for them. When Carrie and I first met, we started talking about what would she like the dog to do for her, and what things was she in need of. And so she started going through lists of items, and some really took me by surprise. For example, she needed and had 24-hour attendant care, but she didn't want that attendant with her all the time. She wanted to have private time to herself, and she couldn't, because if the attendant left and she had a need, she had no way even to call the attendant back because she could barely speak. Her voice was very, very soft. And so she asked me, could the dog be taught to speak, to call her attendant to her when she had that need? She said she was worried about being in a house and have the house catch on fire when the attendant maybe had gone shopping, and she had no way to get out the door. And could the dog possibly be able to open the door for her? All of these things were things that would give her the independence she was seeking, and many people obviously with disabilities are seeking, so that they are not constantly dependent on another being. I think the most important task that she was asking for was to have the dog to retrieve for her, to be able to pick up all kinds of items that she might drop, all these different things she asked for. She and I worked out what the dog needed to do and how the dog needed to do it, and then I figured out how to teach it. And Alto was a golden retriever, half golden retriever, half black lab. She was going to be the foster person with Abdul, so Abdul would grow up learning about her disability, being comfortable with it, knowing what she could and couldn't do, and start to figure out some ways of helping, and became her full-fledged service dog. Today I'm going to be showing some of the first commands that I first did with Carrie, and one of our staff members, Sherry, will be demoing with her dog Keith, so that you can see those commands in action. So we were teaching the dog to walk beside her, and because Carrie's in a power wheelchair, she has a toggle on one side of her wheelchair, which means often the leash would catch behind the toggle, and then if Abdul moved forward, it could push the toggle forward and have her chair start moving forward without her intent. So we had to figure out a way to have the dog move when needed, from one side of her body in the wheelchair to the other side. And what we did is we taught the dog the heel command, and we taught the dog the side command. She also had no physical way to pet or touch the dog. So she asked if there was a way to get the dog to come over and put its head on her lap so she could touch it and scratch its nose, or if there was a way to get the dog to actually get on her lap so she could actually touch it and hold it, maybe even put her arms around it. Noontime, when she wanted to be alone, she wanted to have time alone, and she had this little table on her wheelchair. So what we did is have the attendant make a sack lunch for her and put it in the refrigerator, and then when it came lunchtime, she wanted and we did train Abdul to tug open the refrigerator door, get the sack lunch, bring it over, put it on her little table that was in front of her, and then she had enough movement to unwrap the paper bag and pull out the sandwich and be able to eat it on her own. This Giving Tuesday, we are wanting to say thank you to all of you wonderful supporters, because we could not be doing all of this work that we're doing with our veterans without your help.